Something off with Erika Kirk. What she is wearing seems a bit inappropriate to mourn your husband, who was literally taken out for the entire world to see. This woman is not grieving anything. She skipped straight to acceptance. This is most definitely PR, and they're using your grief for marketing. And the fact that Charlie Kirk's assassination is still being covered up, she is still walking around with the same security from September 10th, saying she's so excited for the new content that she'll be releasing. Isn't it strange how a widow stepped into the CEO role? She did 3 speeches already, 1 at a stadium. Charlie's family didn't even speak, and she's selling t-shirts, and is already hosting her husband's podcast, now doing an all-American halftime show with performers. She's not even home with her 2 young children who just lost their dad, not to mention how they're still trying to cover up her ties in Romania.
It started as a quiet rumor, a whisper buried deep inside a Reddit thread. But within 24 hours, it had blown up into one of the most shocking stories Joe Rogan's ever commented on. Because this wasn't just another celebrity scandal. This was a secret that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about the Kirks. During a new episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe dropped what might be his most chilling reveal yet, that Erika Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, allegedly told his parents something that completely changed the way they looked at their own son. And according to Rogan, it might have been a lie. The moment came about an hour into the podcast when Joe and his guest, a former political commentator, started talking about performative morality, the idea of people pretending to be righteous for fame. And that's when Joe leaned forward, lowered his voice, and said something that instantly sent the internet sprawling. You know? When you hear what Erika told Charlie's family after that night, it doesn't sound like love. It sounds like control. The studio went silent. Even Jamie, his producer, looked up in shock. Joe didn't say her full quote, but his tone said enough. He knew something big, and then he doubled down. I talked to someone who was there. Man, they said the things she told his parents, it didn't add up. It's like she wanted them to see him as broken. The words hit the internet like a nuclear blast. Within minutes, clips of the episode were everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, all captioned, "Joe Rogan exposes Erika Kirk's secret meeting with Charlie's parents." But that's where things got even darker, because Joe wasn't speculating. He was hinting, and if what he hinted at is true, it could mean that everything surrounding Charlie Kirk's disappearance, his alleged mental breakdown, and even his autopsy might be tied to one single conversation, the one between Erika Kirk and Charlie's family that night. The internet started piecing it together immediately. What did Erika say? Why did Joe's tone sound so cautious, like he knew more but was afraid to say it out loud? And most importantly, how did he find out? Screenshots began circulating of messages between podcast insiders claiming Joe got his info directly from someone close to Charlie's family. Someone who allegedly heard the entire conversation first-hand. And if those messages are real, Erika didn't just comfort the family after Charlie's crisis, she reframed it. Because apparently, what she told them was so disturbing, so emotionally manipulative, that one family member reportedly screamed, "That's not our son." What could she have said to make Charlie's own parents doubt him? And why is Joe Rogan, of all people, the one exposing it? Fans are calling it the biggest moral scandal in the conservative influencer world, and insiders are warning that this might be only the beginning, because Joe didn't stop there. He ended that segment with one line that sent chills through everyone listening. If what I heard is true, Erika didn't just lie to them. She changed everything. To understand the gravity of what Joe Rogan just exposed, you have to know the timeline, the strange, secretive, and quietly tragic story of what's been happening behind the scenes of the Kirk family. Because what seemed like a polished conservative power couple, Charlie and Erika Kirk, might have been something far more complicated and far darker. It all began months ago, right after the news of Charlie's sudden medical emergency started spreading online. Officially, his team described it as a private health matter. But whispers quickly grew into rumors, breakdowns, exhaustion, even a cover-up. Then, out of nowhere, came the shocking detail. Erika Kirk had been the first person to call his parents that night, and now Joe Rogan's saying that what she told them was a lie. Let's rewind in the days following Charlie's collapse. The public saw what they always see, an image of composure. Erika posted a soft-filtered photo of her holding his hand in a hospital room, captioned, "Faith heals all things. We're standing strong as a family." It looked wholesome. It looked inspiring, but according to insiders close to the Kirk family, the reality was not so clean. One family friend, who spoke anonymously to an independent journalist, claimed that when Erika called Charlie's parents, she didn't just deliver the news of his hospitalization. She reframed it entirely. She told him he'd been acting unstable for weeks, that he was paranoid, that he'd been hiding things. She said she was scared for her life, and according to Joe Rogan, that call changed everything. From what I heard, Joe said on air, she told them he'd done something unforgivable. But no one can find proof of what that was. When Joe said that, his guest froze. Even Jamie looked nervous to move. Because if Erika really fabricated a story about Charlie to his own parents, that would mean every photo, every interview, every smiling post after that moment was built on deception. And here's where it gets weirder. Charlie's parents reportedly believed her. They allegedly stopped visiting the hospital after that call. For weeks, the only person allowed in his room was Erika, according to text messages leaked by someone claiming to be a hospital staffer. His family's names were even removed from the approved visitor list. The message allegedly read, "Per spouse's request, limit visitation to media and spiritual advisors only." Media and spiritual advisors. Who does that when their husband is in recovery? The same week that order was made, Erika was seen doing podcast interviews, smiling, poised, talking about faith, loyalty, and perseverance. Not once did she mention that Charlie's own parents weren't allowed to see him. And yet, Joe Rogan, who never talks about this kind of personal drama, felt compelled to speak up. Why? Because, according to a leak from a production assistant on Joe's team, someone connected to Charlie's parents personally reached out to Rogan's producers. They wanted to set the record straight, or at least get the truth heard somewhere. That's when Joe started digging. Behind the scenes, his team allegedly interviewed two separate sources, one from Charlie's inner circle and one connected to his extended family, both confirming the same story. That Erika had told the parents a version of events that destroyed their trust in their son, and then the most disturbing claim of all, according to one of those sources, Erika allegedly told Charlie's parents that he had betrayed God. Let that sink in. Not cheated, not lied, not failed. Betrayed God. Joe didn't repeat those exact words on air, but you could hear it in his voice when he said, "It's like she framed him as a fallen prophet or something." That's not a wife trying to protect her husband. That's someone rewriting a narrative. And this is where everything starts to unravel. Because just 2 days after that supposed phone call, Erika was spotted meeting with a PR team, not Charlie's medical team, not his friends, but publicists. Insiders say she started restructuring his brand almost immediately, scrubbing photos, restricting accounts, and repositioning herself as the faithful wife weathering a storm. Some bloggers even noticed she trademarked a new slogan under her name that week, "Built for Redemption." Redemption from what? Nobody knew. But now, with Joe's revelation, it's starting to make a disturbing kind of sense. Because if Erika told the parents that Charlie had fallen morally, maybe even spiritually, she could justify rebranding herself as the devoted survivor, the one who stood firm in faith while her husband struggled with darkness. It's PR Psychology 101, rewrite the story. Control the sympathy, own the redemption arc. But the problem is, The more she tightened that control, the more things started leaking. Staff from Turning Point reportedly noticed strange behavior from her in the weeks after Charlie's collapse. She was allegedly showing up to offices alone, going through files, contacting donors, all while claiming she was handling Charlie's affairs. But according to one insider, she wasn't handling his business. She was rewriting his legacy. Emails started disappearing. Statements were quietly revised. Even Charlie's personal assistant was let go for confidentiality reasons. And then came the rumor that rocked everything, the Ruby kiss. That Erika had been in contact with an attorney before Charlie's medical emergency, discussing independence clauses in their joint ventures. That means that while she was praying beside his hospital bed for Instagram, she was also allegedly preparing to separate herself from him legally by the time Joe Rogan mentioned her name on his show. That quiet manipulation had turned into a full-blown whisper campaign. People were starting to question what really happened to Charlie. What exactly did Erika tell his parents? And why is she so desperate to control the narrative? Because Joe's tone wasn't casual gossip. It was the tone of someone who'd heard something too heavy to keep private. And when he said, "If what I heard is true, it changes everything," it didn't sound like speculation. It sounded like a warning. Now, fans are demanding the truth. Family members are reportedly consulting with investigators. And if the leaked text messages from hospital staff are real, there may even be legal questions about who actually controlled Charlie's care in those final days, all because of one phone call, one story told to parents who just wanted to understand what happened to their son, and one podcast host who decided the world needed to hear that the story might not be true. Because if Joe Rogan's right, if Erika Kirk really told a massive lie to Charlie's parents, then this isn't just about a marriage, it's about manipulation, image control, and the terrifying power of perception. And the scariest part, we still don't know what that lie was. Joe Rogan's reveal didn't just rattle fans, it detonated through the internet like a controlled explosion. Within hours of that episode going live, clips were everywhere. The title "Joe Rogan hints at what Erika told Charlie's parents" was trending across YouTube. And Reddit threads were burning with theories. But what no one realized yet was that Joe's cryptic statement wasn't even the whole story. It was just the match. The firestorm that followed would expose something much bigger than anyone expected. The carefully hidden war between truth, power, and a woman determined to protect her image at any cost. Because hours after the podcast aired, a new piece of evidence dropped, one that made even Joe's reveal look tame. A text thread allegedly leaked by someone inside the Kirk family circle. And these weren't just any texts. They were between Erika and a contact, saved under Mom Kirk. The first message was simple, almost a calm. "You may not understand right now, but Charlie needs to repent. He's been lying to everyone, especially you." The next message was darker. "If you knew what I knew, you'd never look at him the same again." The internet lost its mind. People began posting screenshots, zooming in on timestamps, matching typing styles, even comparing punctuation to Erika's verified posts. Forensic analysts on Twitter began analyzing metadata. Within 24 hours, digital forensics experts claimed that texts were real, and if they were, it confirmed everything Joe hinted at. Erika had intentionally painted Charlie as a monster to his own parents. But the question still lingered. Why? Insiders began whispering that Erika's relationship with Charlie had been crumbling for months, not because of infidelity or fame, but because of something far more psychological. According to those close to the couple, Erika had become obsessed with maintaining the perfect Christian image. One insider put it bluntly, she wasn't trying to be a wife. She was trying to be a brand. Apparently, she'd started controlling every aspect of Charlie's public persona, from the clothes he wore on stage to the tone of his speeches. She'd even allegedly insisted that he repent publicly for using certain words she found unchristian. And when Charlie reportedly pushed back, that's when things got dark. Multiple sources told the same story, arguments turning into cold silences, silences turning into distance, and distance turning into fear. One person who'd been at a private Turning Point event said Charlie looked nervous, constantly glancing toward Erica before speaking. But here's where things take a sinister turn. A private investigator, one hired by a media outlet digging into the story, uncovered something chilling. 2 weeks before Charlie's hospitalization, Erica had met privately with a pastor from a controversial counseling group known for its moral purification programs. These are the kinds of groups that preach that mental health issues are spiritual corruption, not science, not stress, but sin. And according to Joe Rogan's anonymous source, Erica told Charlie's parents that he was under spiritual attack, not sick, not depressed, not burnt out, under spiritual attack. Those words changed everything because that framing, that language gave Erica full control. If Charlie was sick, doctors had power. But if he was spiritually corrupted, she did. From that moment on, she became the gatekeeper between Charlie and the world. Every phone call, every visitor, every update filtered through Erica, and then came the first twist. The detail that left everyone stunned. An anonymous email was sent to Joe Rogan's production inbox. No name, no subject line, just a PDF attachment titled Hospital Log, Restricted Access. Inside were time-stamped visitation records from the week of Charlie's hospitalization. One line stood out. Visitor entry, EK 9:47 a.m. to 6:22 p.m., multiple room access. Visitor request denied CK parents. 11:05 a.m. by spouse authority. That confirmed it. Erica hadn't just limited their access, she'd banned them completely. Joe's team didn't release the file publicly, but multiple insiders claim he forwarded it to his legal advisors for verification. And once it checked out, he made the decision to say something on air without saying too much, because he knew the backlash would be enormous, and it was. Within days, conservative media began splintering. Some defended Erica, calling her a woman protecting her husband from public scrutiny. Others accused her of spiritual gaslighting, using faith to justify control. Even prominent pastors started weighing in. One tweeted, "Faith without truth is manipulation. Prayers for the Kirk family." But as the online firestorm grew, one quiet voice emerged from the chaos. A woman claiming to be a nurse who worked on Charlie's floor. She posted anonymously on Reddit under the handle @caregiverwitness. And her account was disturbing. She said Erica would arrive every morning, with cameras off and eyes red, whispering that Charlie wasn't himself. She'd allegedly tell nurses to avoid mentioning certain medications, claiming he's not supposed to hear those words. She even requested a pastor be allowed to pray over Charlie's room before any doctor entered. But the most horrifying detail came near the end of her post. She once told his mother, in front of me, "Don't speak his name out loud right now. He's battling demons, not illness." If that's true, it means Erica weaponized religion against her own in-laws, turning a medical emergency into a moral war. And then came the breaking point. The twist no one saw coming, because suddenly, Erica's perfect image began cracking in public. A video surfaced of her at a private charity gala, recorded weeks after Charlie's collapse. In it, she's overheard telling another guest, "Sometimes you have to lose someone to save their soul." That clip spread like wildfire. Fans began asking, was she talking about Charlie? And if she was, what exactly did she mean by lose? The internet went into conspiracy overdrive. Some claimed Charlie had tried to leave her and she spiritually destroyed him. Others argued she'd convinced his parents he was unstable to secure his estate and media rights. Then, one particularly chilling rumor emerged, one that tied directly back to Joe's revelation. According to a reporter who'd been following the story for months, Charlie's parents were now working with a private legal team. They'd reportedly filed for access to sealed medical records, records that might prove whether Erica had been controlling decisions without authorization. But here's the part no one saw coming. The reporter also claimed that when they reached out to Erica for comment, her assistant sent back a single line: "Erica has nothing to hide. The truth will come out in God's time." A line that, ironically, only made things worse. Because now, the world wasn't just waiting for God's time. They were waiting for Joe's next episode. The internet flooded his comments section. "Drop the receipts, Joe. Say her name, Joe." What did she really tell them? And behind closed doors, producers were reportedly terrified. Because Joe Rogan doesn't tease something unless he's sitting on proof. And that means if his sources are legit, if Erika Kirk really lied to Charlie's parents and framed her husband's illness as spiritual corruption, then the truth might not just destroy her reputation, it could unravel the entire empire they built together. And the cruelest part, the people who loved Charlie most, his family, his followers, his team, were forced to pick sides: faith or facts, wife or son, image or truth. And according to a new leak circulating quietly online, one of those sides is about to break their silence, because apparently Charlie's parents have decided to go on record, and when they do, they might finally reveal what Erica told them that night. The story Joe Rogan hinted at, the lie that changed everything. The next 72 hours after Joe Rogan's reveal felt like the calm before a nuclear blast. No one from the Kirk family spoke publicly. Erica vanished from her socials. Joe went completely silent on his podcast feed. And Charlie's parents, the people at the center of it all, were nowhere to be found. But then, out of nowhere, the silence broke. A voice recording, shaky, muffled, and unmistakably real, began circulating online. It was allegedly from inside the Kirk family home, recorded by someone close to them. In the clip, you can hear a woman crying softly, saying, "She made us believe our son had turned against us. She said he was dangerous, that he was losing his mind. But she lied. She lied." The voice? It sounded like Charlie's mother. That clip alone would have been enough to cause a meltdown. But then, halfway through the recording, you can hear another voice, older, deeper, trembling with rage. She told us God was punishing him, that he confessed to sin. She said we needed to let her handle it spiritually. I'll never forgive myself for believing her. That voice, reportedly Charlie's father. The audio spread like wildfire. Twitter threads, YouTube breakdowns, TikTok sleuths. Everyone was analyzing every second. One clip of Charlie's mother saying she lied to us racked up 10 million views overnight. But then, an even darker revelation hit. Attached to that same leak was a file, a scanned email allegedly sent from Erika Kirk to Charlie's parents the morning after his hospitalization. The subject line? Regarding Charlie's state, the email read, "He's in deep spiritual confusion. The doctors won't tell you the truth. He confessed to straying from God's path. This is not a medical issue. This is warfare. I need your prayers, but also your trust. Please don't interfere. He must face this alone before he can be healed." That was the smoking gun. If that email was real, and experts were already saying the metadata matched her known accounts, then Joe Rogan had been right all along. Erica had deliberately told Charlie's parents a story that wasn't just exaggerated. It was designed to isolate him. The news spread like a contagion. Major outlets started circling the story. But what made it more dangerous was who started talking behind closed doors. People from Charlie's professional world, according to a political insider who'd worked closely with him. Charlie had become increasingly paranoid in the months leading up to his collapse. Not about enemies or the media, but about Erica. He told me once, "She's changing things I never said. She's rewriting my statements." I thought he was being dramatic. Now I think he knew. The insider claimed that Erica had started filtering Charlie's emails, rewriting press responses, even editing his speeches before sending them out under the guise of protecting his image. But what she was really doing was reshaping his voice, controlling his narrative before anyone noticed it was missing. Then came the chilling connection, one nobody expected. A reporter from Vanity Ledger uncovered financial records showing that Erica had quietly transferred several of Charlie's personal assets into a faith-based nonprofit registered under her name just days before his hospitalization. The nonprofit's mission statement: spiritual rehabilitation for public figures. That phrase sent shivers down everyone's spine, because if you connect the dots, the spiritual warfare narrative, the isolation from his family, the asset transfers, it all looked less like care and more like containment. Joe Rogan's fans began flooding his comment sections, begging him to release whatever other information he had. On Reddit, a verified insider from the podcast community posted, "He's sitting on more. He has the full transcript of the call between Erica and the parents. He's just waiting for legal clearance." And that's when Joe broke his silence. He posted one tweet, just one. "You won't believe what she said next." Within minutes, the internet melted. Comment sections flooded with panic and curiosity. "What did she say?" became the trending phrase across Twitter. Even mainstream outlets started covering the tweet as if it were breaking news, and then it happened. Joe uploaded a new episode. No guess. No ads. Just Joe. The thumbnail was black and white. The title, The Call. In the first 2 minutes, he sounded uneasy, calm, but heavy. "I wasn't going to do this. I thought maybe I'd let the story fade. But then I heard the recording, the real one, and I couldn't stay quiet anymore." He played a clip static at first, then clear as day. It was Erica's voice. "You have to understand, he's not your son anymore. The person you knew is gone. I've been protecting him from himself." A pause. Then Charlie's mother's voice. "Protecting him. From what?" And Erica replied, "From who he really is." The silence that followed that sentence was haunting. Joe let the clip run for 10 seconds, 10 agonizing seconds of silence, before cutting it off. "That's not a wife trying to save her husband," Joe said quietly. "That's someone trying to bury him." The reaction was instantaneous. Millions of views. Headlines exploding everywhere. Erika Kirk accused of manipulating Charlie's parents. Joe Rogan airs secret recording. Who is Erica protecting Charlie from? But then the twist. Hours after the episode went live, Erica's legal team issued a statement. Not to Joe, not to the public, but to Charlie's parents. The leaked letter, posted anonymously by a journalist, said, "We advise you to cease communication with outside media. Remember that all actions you take reflect on your son's legacy. Let God handle what's left." The audacity of it enraged everyone. And that's when Charlie's parents, silent up until now, finally broke in a public statement posted to an independent blog. They wrote, "We were lied to. We believed a story that turned us against our son. We believed she was protecting him. She was protecting herself. The truth is coming out now, and we will not be silenced again." That statement went viral, and buried at the bottom was one final line that sent shockwaves through everyone. Who read it? we have reopened the case of Charlie's passing. We believe what happened to him was not an act of God, but a series of deliberate choices. The internet froze, if that meant what people thought it meant. The situation was no longer just scandalous. It was criminal, and suddenly, the story Joe Rogan teased, the lie that changed everything, wasn't about gossip. It was about motive, because if Erika convinced the parents that Charlie was possessed, lost, or corrupted, she didn't just manipulate their emotions. She isolated her husband completely spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And the timing, the finances, the silence, the power shift, all pointed to one terrifying question: was Charlie Kirk's downfall orchestrated? Joe ended his episode with one final line, one that nobody could stop thinking about. Sometimes the biggest secrets don't die with the person. Sometimes they wait until someone brave enough presses record. And for the first time, it felt like the truth, the one buried under faith image. And control was finally clawing its way out. But the craziest part, insiders claim that wasn't even the full recording Joe played. He only aired part of it. The rest, according to those close to his team, was too dangerous. Because what Erika allegedly said next didn't just change how people saw her, it changed how they saw the entire movement she and Charlie built together. The aftermath of Joe's shocking podcast didn't just stir controversy, it cracked something open. Newsrooms started calling it the Kirk conspiracy. Every journalist who'd once been too cautious to ask questions about Charlie's final days was suddenly fighting to get their hands on any scrap of evidence. Every podcast feed, every YouTube reaction, every news desk was chasing the same question: what did Erika mean by protecting him from who he really is? By midweek, the storm was global. Erika's name was trending next to the word cult. Old photos of her with fringe deliverance pastors resurfaced, showing her in prayer circles that looked more like rituals than worship. People started asking whether the spiritual rehabilitation she preached was actually a cover for something darker, a private network that preyed on powerful men's guilt to seize their money and silence their families. Then, a former associate of Erika's came forward. She called herself Hannah, and she had receipts. She went on TikTok, holding back tears, saying, "Erika told me the same thing she told Charlie's parents. She said our pain was proof of sin, and she used it to take control." Hannah produced emails showing that Erika had recruited donors through private purity retreats, promising to cleanse reputations. The donations all went to the same nonprofit, the one she'd created in her own name. That's when a whistleblower leaked internal memos from that nonprofit to a journalist at ProPublica. They showed payments to consultants, code for crisis management lawyers, and online image contractors, all timed around Charlie's hospitalization. It painted a devastating picture. While Charlie's health collapsed, Erika had been funneling his resources into a machine that erased his narrative and replaced it with hers. When Joe Rogan learned about the documents, he uploaded a follow-up clip that lasted less than 2 minutes. His voice was grave. "This isn't gossip anymore. This is a paper trail." And the clip that followed stunned the world. It was a voicemail. A woman's voice, tired, panicked, whispering through static, "They're going to blame me for what happened." But you don't understand, he was supposed to confess publicly. "I never meant for it to go that far." People froze. The timestamp was the night before Charlie's collapse. The number registered to Erika's phone by morning. FBI spokespeople refused to comment on active inquiries. Financial investigators were reportedly reviewing the nonprofit's accounts. Meanwhile, Erika finally broke her silence. In a heavily edited Instagram video, she appeared pale, eyes swollen, saying, "This persecution is proof of my faith. I did everything I could to save him. But the comments were merciless. Thousands of people flooded her feed with the same line. Save him from what? Then came the biggest twist yet. Late that night, Joe posted again, not on Spotify, but on his personal X account. It was just an image, a scanned page from a legal deposition marked confidential. At the bottom, a handwritten note in red ink. Read. Erika instructed staff to restrict medical treatment. Within minutes, he deleted it. But the internet had already saved it. If true, it meant that Charlie's so-called spiritual crisis wasn't just a lie. It might have cost him the chance to survive. The story had gone from rumor to religion to crime. Now, the only question left was whether Erika would ever face justice. Or whether, like every manipulator before her, she'd spin the narrative one last time, because the final rumor, whispered through locked Telegram channels and anonymous leaks, claimed something even Joe hadn't dared to say aloud. Charlie left behind his own recordings, and one of them is addressed directly to his parents. It supposedly begins with 6 words that no one can stop quoting online. If you're hearing this, she lied. She lied.